then is the reasoning faculty that we have? Also, it was mentioned tonight about the faculty of memory, also the faculty of creation, the imagination. So are not these a part of what most of us would call the mind?
Well, first of all, when you try and find the mind, you can't. You know, where are you going to point to? And you just see that it's just thoughts arising. There's no actual location for it. And I'd like to give a small example of that. I worked at a nursing home, and one of the residents I was very close to, we saw each other several times a week, and she got ill with dementia. And she came in one day, and you could tell she was not as bright. She was the brightest, wittiest, most intelligent woman for her age. And then you could just see her going downhill. And one day she came in and she said, you know, I'm really scared because I see this happening. She saw her mind getting ill and not being as active as it was. So yeah, can you imagine that, watching?
Yes.
You know, and she thought it was her watching, but it was actually that awareness that sees everything come and go. So it's not a knowing of these things. It's just you're just noticing. You're not labeling and differentiating anymore. Things are just happening, and there's no need to conceptualize it or grasp it or anything. It was just a happening in that space-like awareness. And as Bob said so well, you're that energy that without that, the body's just a corpse. So it's that energy, like a prism, refracting the light and expressing as this, but you're the prism is the instrument for that light to play out.
So
but you're the light.
So there's no individual mind. That's the illusion. Is that correct?
Well, there's a mechanical mind, you know, the body,
the brain.
Mind, yeah, that's the instrument.
Yeah.
But it's like a toaster; it's useless without the electricity running through it.
Yeah.
It's just a blob.
But so you know, these faculties that I touched upon and others too that are beyond my knowledge, they're all within that our high awareness, our pure consciousness. Is that right?
Well, if you took your eyes out and you couldn't see anymore, does that affect your awareness? If you couldn't hear anymore, would you stop being aware that you would be aware that you couldn't hear? There's still, you could take your body parts away one by one, and there's still what would be left would be that awareness.
But yeah, they're the senses, but the other faculties that were like mentioned, you know, that it's so more, even more personal, if you will, or impersonal, whichever. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a grasp of
well, the brain is what is what projects the world that we see and experience. So when that awareness is expressing through the brain, then we experience, you know, the seeing, the hearing, tasting, touching, but it's through the body mind. They're connected. It's not a brain, you know, the physical brain and body. They're connected.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's an experiencing machine.
I think
it's like awareness putting glasses on and a costume, and you know, like, oh, I can, you know, check out this world, you know, and just looking around like, wow, feeling, touching, tasting, hearing. But when that awareness isn't there, then there's nothing. But when it's expressing through the body, then there's everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Donna.
Yeah. Thank you, Donna.
Yeah. Yeah, go. And seeing.
I just wanted to ask, so I have experienced the presence, and I find that I know when I start thinking, and then I just have to pull myself out of it and place my attention on, like you said, what I can see, what I can hear. Is that what, but I can't stay there. I can't seem to stay there. Do I just have to keep keep on it. Just keep bringing it back and just keep doing it. And is that what I have to do?
Maybe you could start at the fact that you're already that, and anything that comes up that says otherwise is a lie.
Yes, that's good.
So you don't have to, you know, it's not about trying, it's just noticing. And noticing is a very relaxed looking.
Yeah.
It's not this effort of fighting, you know, what's coming up, but just noticing what's coming up. And there's such a huge difference because there's a sense of something witnessing or looking instead of a you trying. When there's a relaxed looking, it feels that's the presence that's more representative of the presence.
Yeah.
So start with the fact that you're already that, and anything that comes up, anything, it's just not true. It's a thought, and thoughts aren't true.
Yep. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
And the-
reminds me of a story too. Bob, you're probably familiar with the story with the birds, the two birds in the tree.
Which?
There's two birds in a tree, and one's on a lower part of the tree, and another bird's up higher. And the lower bird, it's not necessarily lower, just lower on the branch, represents our personhood, our body, mind, and just this activity here. And so the bird's picking berries off the tree and building a nest, and there's a little bird bath down at the bottom of the tree, and he goes down there and hangs out with the other birds and talk about birding, you know, at the bird bath, and just all the activity, you know, of living. And the bird on the second tree is watching, just that effortless watching this other bird, but it's the same bird, it's identical. And that second bird up higher is the I am. And it doesn't have any labels and it doesn't have any words. It's just quiet listening, quiet watching, that effortlessness that we're talking about while everything's happening. And then for me, when I listen to that story, then there's the sky behind all that. And that's the absolute, that's the awareness where there's no concepts, there's no labeling, everything's happening in front of it, even the witnessing, even the watching. And so there's the I am, but you are before the I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
love that.
when you're in the position of the I am, I exist, I'm here, all this is happening, that to me is like the doorway between the manifest world and the unmanifest world. It kind of swings back and forth. But you're not in charge of how that happens, that swinging door.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, most of the time when we're at the I am, we're so focused on the bird that's doing all the activity that we forget our true position. Because it's all of it. It's not, you're not the sky, you're not the bird that's busy, and you're not the I am, it's all of it. And that sky allows all of it. It is all of it. It's both.
I love that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful. Thank you.
The voices in your head is like the committee meeting. And you know, there's all these sensories that are just gathering information all day long. You know, this is an experiencing machine. And when that life force energy is animating as it and through it, it's just all these experiences can happen, and the mind kind of corrugates it all, and it takes all that information and it kind of stores it as memory in the nerves and in the mind. And so when something happens, and like if you wanted a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, your body just goes through this huge process unconsciously. You're not even aware of it. It's so fast. And they liken it to watching a football game. You know, you have the stadium with all the low seating and the different levels and the different sections. And so just the thought, I'd like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, you can't decide. Your body just lights up like a Christmas tree, and all these different nerves and messages are being sent all over the whole stadium, and just thousands of things are happening. I mean, just to lift your little pinky finger, you wouldn't believe what the universe has to go through just to lift your finger. Everything has to be in place just so you can lift your little finger or decide to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, unconsciously, the body, mind, has come up with this, let's say, decision, and it says, I'm going to have a cup of coffee based on your hormones, based on your sleep, based on your mood, you know, all these things that you're not even conscious of really. And so it decided for you to have a cup of coffee. And then it goes ding, and then consciousness, because this was all unconscious, consciousness comes in, this awareness fixates on this decision that has already been made, and then it takes that decision, makes it conscious, and says, I want a cup of coffee. You, Joe, want a cup of coffee. So you think you made that decision when it was already made for you. You're just narrating what happened after
Tell
the
me
fact.
about it. I so get it. I so know that that's what frustrates me, because I'm sitting there having that coffee thinking, where did that come from? I don't know that you know what I mean? That's where I laugh. You know, that's where I laugh. But I forget that whole big process. You know, you forget about it because you go automatic. You go into automatic. Yeah.
Well, life's happening. The whole point is life's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so caught up in the past with our thoughts and identifying with the thoughts, and there's just so much more going on than just thinking. But we're so fixated on the thinking process and the identification as being the thinker that we don't recognize it. And you don't really need to. I think the basic pointer here is just to notice that life's happening and you're not doing it.
Yeah, you're saying it. What I'm hearing, exactly what you're saying, Donna, which I love. And another interpretation is exactly what Bob and Katz says, is, you know, watch the birds, the flowers, the trees, feel your lips, feel your bum on this, you know, all that. And you're saying it in another way. And it's so fantastic to hear all these things said in different ways, because it resonates more for me. You know, it just kind of resonates and things wake up, and I just love hearing it in so many different ways.
Yeah, there's so many senses that we don't really enjoy. And then when we sit down, we have to take a vacation to relax and enjoy our other senses. But they're always on. They're always there. They haven't stopped. And your attention just was fixated on one of those senses. And, you know, when we take our vacations and get away from everything, we're actually allowing or noticing the other senses that have always been there and really been crying out for your attention a little bit, if you want to look at it that way. And it's just amazing. And it's not really relaxing, because you can do that even in the worst situations. You can feel, you know, in a tsunami or hurricane or you know, earthquake, you can feel all those senses really hyped up. But they're always there under any circumstances. I think the main thing with these teachings is that we're so focused on just one of them, and we take ourselves to be that. But when I'm sitting on my balcony sometimes and just having a cup of coffee, you know, as Kat said, you can really taste that coffee, and I really enjoy it because I'm not, you know, thinking about all this stuff in my head, or not even that. I'm not paying attention to it. I'm not giving it any of my interest. So it kind of dies down on its own, because it's like, you know, when something's on stage, if there's no audience, it's like, what's the point, you know? So it seems like the less that my attention would go there, and it seemed like I was making that effort, but I've noticed I've been making that effort for years and years and years to try and quiet my mind, and it didn't work. And then there was a noticing that the attention just stopped going there on its own. So even I wasn't doing that. But when I'm sitting on the porch or my balcony having coffee, my favorite thing to happen is when the sky's really blue and a hummingbird comes, and you could just hear that little motor, you know, vroom, vroom, you know, it sounds like a little nitro jet, vroom, vroom, makes that little chirp and flies away, and it's just, you're so into it, and it's just so amazing. It's like, gosh, that's just incredible to see a hummingbird. Then you just start looking around, like, how's that tree treeing? You know, how is that tree? You know, and the sky, it's so blue, and you'll see a storm coming. Everything's just, it's not, you know, like fireworks or anything. It's just so amazing and wonderful. So hopefully that can happen for you.
It will, and it does. It does. I just have moments that I forget, and I get caught in the story, and I believe I'm the story. That's, you know, and I love what you said about the audience. You know, I really like. It's a good analogy. You know, just be the audience. Don't be involved in it. Just be the audience. I like that.
Bob wanted to say,
Yeah, and when you hear these words, don't you just go right into a relaxed, like just.
yeah, Bob wanted to say,
Somehow the attention goes away from the mind. I'm sorry,
Yes,
Kat.
thank you. Thank you.